Well, we've got an exclusive today. We'll introduce it with this particular slide. So Sky News a few hours ago said that Boris Johnson is set to reveal the lockdown exit plan on Sunday. What we're perceiving is this is pure theatre by Boris Johnson, because it's what's going on behind the scenes that the British public and indeed worldwide public really need to understand. Now, we've been getting some really extraordinary information from people over the last couple of weeks, people inside the establishment deeply concerned about what is going on. Much of that was around 77 Brigade, but today we felt we had to share what we've been told. So let's have a look at this. Now, we're saying this is a government whistleblower. We're saying these are allegations of conversations that have taken place in some high-level meetings. But the picture seems to fit. Let's have a look. So the overview is that COVID-19 lockdown is the perfect opportunity to, quote, repurpose government. This has been a term that we've seen a little bit in the wider press, but we know that inside the government, massive changes going on, simply not debated in Westminster on the floor of the House, and most MPs completely ignorant. So the individual said there are three ideas operating now: rethinking and repurposing government and how to exit the lockdown. And there's a complete lack of inoperability in government. So interoperability, thank you, Mike. So we're to believe that the British government over the last 10, 20 years has simply started to be unable to function. Departments can't talk to each other. They don't know how to pass information between them. And the system is operating in vertical silos, not horizontally. And the quote given to us was that not even the Treasury connects to Whitehall.
This term silos, of course, absolutely common purpose speak there.
Interesting. Very interesting that people are trapped in a vertical line. Now, originally you have vertical management lines because it can bring order, but now this is a big problem. And of course, Common Purpose was talking those silos. But let's add in the last point here. The problem is how to enable collaboration across government departments, because the issues are all bigger than any one department. This is key. So what this individual is suggesting was being discussed in meetings was essentially that the whole of government has broken down. Departments are not working. They can't communicate inside the department. They can't communicate with other departments. They can't even communicate with the Treasury. It goes on. Let's have a look. Exiting lockdown. This keeps coming back in. Now, if you're sitting at home thinking, well, this is really good because they're working to get us out of lockdown, you're going to be very disappointed. So the agenda is to work out how to exit lockdown and repurpose government, so the services offered are fundamentally very different. The needs are very different. Here we're getting a flavour that there is to be no release from lockdown until the opportunity and the parts are in place. The government itself is going to be very different in how it works and how it responds to needs. For example, joining care homes and the NHS, 160,000 businesses provide, there's duplicity there, providing tertiary care into the care home sector, operating as independent entities. The implication was that this was ridiculous. So working with local government and local enterprise partnerships is key, and the inference is here that all of these privately owned businesses are going to be scrapped and they're going to be hoovered up into the control of the NHS.
We should just mention, Brian, that 2 or 3 months ago we were told from somebody inside the NHS that there was a programme being worked on to effectively nationalise all the doctors' surgeries. And this seems to fit absolutely with this plan.
This is what made this information so interesting, Mike. There is so much that's being said here that interfaces with material we've already covered. You, of course, have focused in on the fusion doctrine, but yes, we did know about the plans to privatise nationalise doctors' surgeries. So let's add the last one in here. This is a subject that came up repeatedly in the discussions, that expanding AI is key and many public sector and civil service jobs are to go. So the government absolutely knows that by pushing its AI agenda, it's going to wipe jobs off the slate. People are simply going to be unemployed. And now let's have a look at this. COVID-19 lockdown is an extraordinary opportunity not to reopen 50 or 60% of what each company does. When companies are operating, they get seduced into improving what they've already got rather than stopping, and that's shocking to them. If it's already stopped, it's restarting that's shocking to them. So lockdown is an opportunity to fundamentally rethink what we should be doing. So why reopen schools, care homes, coal-fired power stations? Don't reopen any of them. They're garbage. They're yesterday's technology. They're polluting. They're toxic. They're badly organised. You just don't reopen them ever. Now, I've got a bit more to add, but David, what's your reaction to that?
My reaction is that we've not only heard this before, we've reported on this before. This is a Scottish model of government, right? I've got a quick quote for you here. This is from Northern Exposure, a document, believe it or not, called Northern Exposure, Lessons from the First 12 Years of Devolved Government by Sir John Elvidge. He writes, in partnership between the civil service and political leadership, point one, a radical Scottish model of government has been developed since 2007, building on the learning of an early period of devolution. It is based on the effort to have government function as a single organisation. They're rolling it out in Britain. Scotland's a testing ground. Now, Brian, everyone's going to share it.
Everyone's going to share it. Well, let's add in the last piece of this extraordinary saga. If the government is going to spend £240 billion and increase the debt by 7 times, what is the point of reopening a technology that will be dead in 10 years' time? So take the 240 billion and reinvent society, because we will, quote, never get this opportunity again in our lifetime. And if you've just joined UK column, what we're reading out here is what a Westminster whistleblower said is being discussed at high-level meetings. So the government is not keen on releasing us from lockdown, because while we are locked down, while industry and businesses are locked down, they can carry out with restructuring society. Mike, this is immensely dangerous stuff, and of course there's no discussion of the Constitution, so we could start to say, is this even lawful?
Well, exactly, and